Ladies, if you truly want to become that best version of yourself and reach your full potential and become that 2.0 version of yourself, the main question that you need to be asking is, what is your why? Really and truly, what drives you to get out of bed in the morning? What drives you to reach that full potential? What motivates you on them days where you don't have that motivation, when all you have is discipline? Really digging into what your actual why is. And it is so, so important to have a why, whether that be stepping into something new, trying to reach a goal, trying to become that bigger and better person. If you truly don't have a why that is pushing you to that full potential, you are not going to get to where you want to be, okay? It is that simple. Because there is going to be days where you wake up in the morning and you can't be bothered, and you just want to roll over, and you can't be bothered to go to the gym, you can't be bothered to eat healthy, you can't be bothered to push yourself to be that best version. But then your why falls into place, and that why is going to give you the discipline to get you out of bed, to push you to go to the gym, to eat them healthy meals, to be that best version of yourself, okay? So what I want you to do is seriously ask yourself, what is your why? Why do you want to thrive to be that best version of yourself? Why do you want to reach them goals that you have set in your head? Why are they so important to you? Really dig deep into it. And I'll tell you a story, right? I had someone come to me and they told me that they wanted to step into the online space because they wanted to hit 10K a month. They put that number on a pedestal and they were like, that is what I want to achieve. And it's so, so important to dig deep into your why 5 times, okay? There's 5 stages of it. If you have a why, I want you to ask yourself why 5 times after that to really find the real root reason, okay? So this girl, for example, she came to me, she wanted to hit 10K. So I asked her, why do you want to hit that 5K? 10K, sorry. I just want to be able to go traveling around the world. I want to be able to see all these beautiful places. I want to be able to live a nice luxury life and be comfortable. Okay, cool, fair enough. But why is that important to you? And then she moved on to saying that, she wants to be able to give that to her children and be able to provide for her family and be able to, really just be able to provide for them. Which is, okay, fair enough. Everyone wants to be able to provide for their family, but why is that important to you? And the real root reason was because, they didn't have it growing up. They didn't get to go to all these beautiful countries. Their parents couldn't provide it because they were stuck in a 9-to-5 or was doing 2 jobs at once, and couldn't spend any time with them. They didn't have that as a child, so they want to be able to provide it for their children to be able to go and do all these nice, luxurious things. That is their inner deep why. Not the fact that they want to hit 10K, not the fact that they want to go traveling around the world, but be able to give that to their children, be able to provide for their children, be able to give a nice life for their children because they didn't have it as a child, okay? So you see what happens here. It's not the fact that they want to hit 10K, it's that really inner deep feeling that's going to thrive you to push you out of bed. So you might have a why, but it's so important to really dig into where that root of the why comes from. Now, if you're anything like me, you've tried other things, right? Before trying to leave your 9-to-5, you looked into other things in the online space, whether that be drop shipping, Amazon FBA, trying to figure out TikTok shop and reselling, etc. Or even selling your clothes on Pinterest and trying to make a living out of that. You just really wanted to escape that 9-to-5 life and being stuck in that traditional route. I was the exact same, right? And I used to sit there and tell myself that these things didn't work out for me because X, Y, Z reason. It was too hard. It doesn't actually work. These people are just lying. Whatever that may be, I told myself that this wasn't the reason that I couldn't make it happen. When in reality, if I put the graft in, showed up every single day, there wouldn't have been a reason as to why it couldn't have happened, okay? It happens for other people, so why couldn't it have happened for me? And the real reason was because I didn't put in enough hard work. I told myself it couldn't happen. And as soon as you tell yourself, I can't do this, it's not gonna work, you've already put that border in front of you to say it's not gonna happen. Let's say you're going to the gym, for example. If you see some weights and, yeah, cool, they're heavy weights, they might be 20 kg or something, whatever that may be, you might think, cool, absolutely no way. But as soon as you tell yourself, there's no possible chance of me being able to do that, you've already limited yourself. If you walk up to them weights and just give it a good hell of a go, you have a lot more of a higher chance of actually succeeding in lifting them weights than looking at them, procrastinating and telling yourself they're too heavy or whatever that may be. Okay, so really take that into account when you've tried these other things in the online space, or even if it's not in the online space, trying to get out of that 9-to-5. Was it truly the fact that it didn't work, or was it the fact that you didn't make it work? Because the truth is, as humans, we don't know how many times we're going to fail until we reach that success. And that is what throws so many people off, because if you truly knew that once you stepped into something, you had to fail 15, 20 times to get that end result, to get that luxurious life, to reach that full potential, you would want to get up every single day, put the graft in, and fail as many times as humanly possible. Because that's just how the human brain works, right? If you knew that you had to fail that 15 to 20 times, you would make it happen. You would want to fail. But because as humans, we don't know how many times you need to fail, you just kind of give up before you reach that success. And the only thing that separates successful people and non-successful people is the people who carry on pushing through. Things aren't easy. Times get hard. Life is difficult sometimes. That's just facts at the end of the day. But it's the people that push through that, put the graft in, who get to where they want to be, who get that end result, who end up driving that nice car, who end up living that nice life, who get to provide for their family. They get there because they said, no matter how many times I fail, I'm going to put the graft in. I'm going to show up because I know I can make it happen. It might take me 5 times. It might take me 10 times. I might fail a couple of times. But if I truly tell myself that I can get there and I put the graft in, there is absolutely no reason as to why I can't have it. Because if you see other people scrolling on your TikTok, these other girls living the life that you want, like these girls at the beach, working from their laptops, sipping martinis in their nice flashy cars, whatever that may be, you see them, right? And it's that little voice in the back of your head that tells you, you could never do it. You need to scrap that and put it in the bin, because as soon as you do, that is when you'll start to see real results, okay? Because you are no different to them. You are no different to me. You are no different to these other girls that you see on your For You page or on the internet who are living that life that you want. The only difference between us, them, and you is actually taking them aligned actions to getting the aligned results. That's literally it. Continue and pushing through them hard days, pushing through, the failure to actually get that success. Because the truth is, the 2.0 version of yourself is already living that life that you want. That freedom, location, financial, the life that you vision that you want to live, that 2.0 version of yourself is already living it, okay? And the only way to get there is going down the right path and taking the right actionable steps and really envisioning what that 2.0 version of yourself looks like. What are their daily habits? What does their morning routine look like? What do they do throughout the day? What do they dress like? What car do they drive? Really embodying that person to actually get to where you want to be, okay? Let me tell you what it was like when I was at my 9 to 5, okay? I was working at a nursery, which everyone there had big baggy tops on, leggings, Crocs, because it was comfortable and you could wear it. But I knew that 2.0 version of myself wanted to be a businesswoman. I wanted to help other women. I wanted to, present myself in a good manner, like whatever that may be that I wanted. I knew that if I was going down that route of wearing that baggy top and showing up every single day with like my hair not even brushed, not putting any makeup on, I wasn't going to become the person that I wanted to be. Okay, so what did I do? I went out, I brought a new pair of trousers, a new pair of shoes, a new cardigan. I made sure my hair and makeup was done every single day. And I showed up to that nursery job on £6.40 an hour, looking like I owned the place. Because I knew one day I wanted to be a business lady. I wanted to have my own business. I wanted that freedom. But I wasn't going to get there by, not taking aligned actions to actually get that aligned result. So what you really need to ask yourself is, that 2.0 version of yourself that you want to become, do your daily habits and actions align with that? Let's say you wanted to be a fitness coach in the future, right? And all you do is live off microwave meals, pizza, you don't go to the gym. You are not going to get that outcome, unfortunately. You have to be embodying that person that you want to be to actually get the right results. So really think about, girls, like that 2.0 version of yourself. What actionable steps do you have to take to actually get to that higher version of yourself? Because you can 100% get there. There's no reason as to why you shouldn't. You just have to envision that person and think about the daily habits that you take. Do they actually align with that person? And if they don't, if then beliefs that you have don't align with that person, you need to unlearn them, okay? Get rid of them, because the sooner that you do, and the sooner that I did, the sooner that I unlearned all of these limited beliefs that I had, all of these thought processes that I had, That was when I started to see the results. That is when my life started to change. That was when I started stepping into that 2.0 version of myself. And the truth is, I actually fell into the trap. You know, it's so easy, because whether you grew up in the UK or wherever that may be, if you're surrounding yourself by people who grew up in that traditional route, like your mom, your dad, your grandparents, all of them followed the traditional route. You know, you go to school, you go to college, you go to uni, you jump in that 9-to-5 life, and that's just how the system kind of works, right? You don't really look outside the box, because that is what you get told. You sit in front of your teachers who tell you these are the steps that you have to do, and because everybody else does it, you do it, okay? But if you truly think about it, them teachers, the people who are around you, your family, your friends, are they generally in a position that you want to be in? Probably not. So why would you take someone who's on a 20k salary rather than someone who's actually making that weekly or monthly? Okay? If that person who you're listening to doesn't live the life that you want, why are you following down the same route as them? If it's not working, why are you taking the same actionable steps as them? Because you are going to end up in the same position that they are in. Because I was the exact same. I went to school, I went to college, you know, I listened to everybody else around me, and then it clicked, right? I thought to myself, I don't actually want to be like these people. You know, my boss, these people around me, my college teachers, these people telling me to take these actions, they weren't even in a position that I wanted to be in. They were still financing their cars, still living at home with their parents, still hadn't bought that house, miserable in their job. That was not the outcome that I wanted. So as soon as I realized that I had to take a completely different route, you know, look outside of the box, look outside the picture, because if it's not working for them, it's not going to work for you. And you'd rather realize that now whilst you're 19, 20, 25, 30, than when you get to 60 and you think, God, maybe I really shouldn't have gone down the same path of them, just because that was what everybody else was telling you and what everybody else was doing. If you want to be different and be part of that 5% or whatever it may be who are generally successful, then you need to be doing things that are crazy, stepping out of your comfort zone, putting yourself in them uncomfortable positions, because that is when growth truly happens. I was comfortable in my 9-to-5, right? And I could have gone on to being the manager, and I could have gone on to being on £14 an hour and still having 30 days off a year where I was still tied down to that job. Or I thought to myself, you know what? I could just step out of my comfort zone a little bit. Yes, because this is my thought process to it. I thought, you know what? Worst case scenario, if this doesn't happen, my 9-to-5 is always going to be there. Whether that be retail, working at Tesco's, working at that local restaurant. Girls, if you're in them and you're not enjoying it, is it truly a risk to step out of it if you're not even enjoying the place that you're in? So really reflecting on that 2.0 version of yourself, that 2.0 version of yourself that drives around in that pink Porsche, who earns all this money, who lives that life that they want to live, are they following everybody else? Are they going down the traditional route? Absolutely not, okay? Because I want to take a singer or a dancer for an example, right? This is what I mean by embodying and taking the right aligned actions. Let's say there's a little girl who wants to be a singer, who wants to be a dancer. Every time she puts a song on, she starts dancing, she starts singing, she envisions standing up on that stage, hearing everyone screaming, having the microphone in her hands, having that ballet costume on, whatever that may be, seeing the flashing lights in the crowd. She envisions that, she embodies that, she has this vision. And because no one else has told her at that age that she can't achieve it, she has no reason else to think she can't. So really think about that, ladies. Like, don't listen to these outsiders' thoughts and opinions if they aren't in a position that you want to be in. And I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, reaching that 2.0 version of yourself is like the easiest thing in the world. Finding your why, waking up every single day, putting the graft in, putting the results in, you know, putting the graft in, to get the results. If it was easy, everyone would do it, okay? And everyone would be living this flashy, amazing life and having that location and financial freedom. Because I fell into the wrong crowd. I failed all my GCSEs. There was teachers at school actually telling me, Rihanna, you know, you're not going to be successful. you're dyslexic, you haven't put the graft in, you know, all your papers and everything tell you that you're not going to amount to absolutely anything. Even from where I grew up, you know, it wasn't the best, it was outside of London. And they were like, the people that you surround yourself with, who you are now, you're not going to be that best version of yourself. And I sat there for a second and I thought, why am I going to listen to these teachers who aren't even in a position that I want to be in? But it took me a while. It took me a while to sit there and think about that. And it took me a while to actually getting rid of them and limited beliefs. But as soon as I started to take them out one by one, that was when I truly started to see results. So I cut out all these distractions. I betted on myself and I said, you know what, Rihanna? You are going to make this happen whether you like it or not. So what did I do? I learned a high income skill. I put the reps in, I put the graft in, I show up every day, even on them days that I really couldn't be bothered because my why was truly strong enough to push me out of bed. And I've gotten to where I am today. I'm currently out in Bali. I've been traveling around the world for the last year or so. I'm 19. I have my own business, which, let's be honest, in the traditional route just generally doesn't happen. I'm based in Dubai. I've moved across the world. But the only reason that I've gotten to where I am today is because I've unlearned them limited beliefs. I've gotten rid of that 1.0 version of myself and everything that they think about, cut out all the distractions, put the reps in when I felt like giving up. And that is what has gotten me to where I am today. So it's truly not that hard, girls. As long as you lock in and you can get all of these done, you will end up where you want to be. So if you're ready to step into that 2.0 version of yourself, that person who lives that life that you want to live, then give me a message on Instagram. I'll put my username and Instagram up on here. Send me over any questions at all, because no question goes unanswered. Or ladies, if you're watching this video because you have a call booked in with myself and you're generally looking to get into appointment setting and ready to step into that 2.0 version of yourself, I want you to sit down and truly think to yourself, what is it that scares you about your current situation? Is it the fact that if you stay in your 9 to 5, you know, you're going to have to listen to your boss for the rest of your life? Is it the fact that you're never going to be able to go traveling around the world? Is it the fact that, you know, you won't be able to provide for your family? Really digging into that why and why it generally scares you to stay in this exact position that you are in today.